There's nothing finer to me than to be on the water when that sun comes peeking in under that Carolina sky in the Lord's creation. Ripping some lips on my favorite waters, taking blind hog adventures with some of my best buddies.
Welcome to the podcast. I'm your host, Corey Furlow. It's so good to have you today with us. As always, I'm joined by my co-host, Captain Gaston King of Kingfisher Charters, LLC. Gaston serves the greater Belhaven area, so make sure you get up with him for all of your charter needs. We have something pretty special planned for you during this episode and in a following episode. We got together the guys of the Red Line Rigs crew, all of our pro staff from the mountains to the coast when we went up to Raleigh for the Raleigh Bass and Saltwater Expo. We all kind of crashed at an Airbnb up there, watched a little football, talked a little life, and this right here is a behind-the-scenes look at that. We're going to talk about what makes Red Line Rigs special. We're going to talk about what are the shows, what do you see, what are some of the relationships that are made with various vendors, what do you not see maybe behind the scenes, and what are some of our favorite parts of getting to meet you. We tell some of those stories, we share some of those encounters, and then we also talk about just what we're going to move forward with in various aspects of life. Who has been that person that has brought us along and gave us influence, and it's just some really good content. We hope you enjoy. Thanks again for listening. But first I want to tell you about our sponsors that make this possible, and then we'll get to our show. God bless. This month's podcast partners include 5 great companies. They are Stroud & Son Marine, located in Edenton, North Carolina. Your one-stop shop for all of your sales and service needs. You can reach out to them at stroudandson.com. You can check out their inventory live online. You can schedule services. They sell brands such as Crest, Suzuki Marine, Carolina Skiff, Key West, Ocean Kayaks, the Old Town Kayak brand, Garmin, Minn Kota, and more. Red Line Rigs. Red Line Rigs is a great company, quickly becoming one of Eastern North Carolina's favorites. Your popping cork and bait and tackle needs are all met there. They also sell other brands such as Voodoo, Coastal Bay Baits, and more. You can put in code BHA for Blind Hog Adventures 10 to save 10% off anything on their site. That's redlinerigs.com. Fox Hollow Outdoors. Fox Hollow is one of our favorite places to get seasonings, bait, apparel at foxhollowOutdoors.com to save a little bit of money while you're there. Don't forget to enter in code BHA for Blind Hog Adventures 15 to save 15% off of anything on the site, for custom mirror lures to seasoning packs to bad tails, bait made by Bad Fish, you name it, it's there. You can save 15%. Salt Strong, one of the largest online communities in the country with over 60,000 proud Salty Bay Baits. Salty Bay Baits can be found at deepcreeklures.com. There you'll find Deep Creek Lures, all the Salty Bay bait lineup, and Captain Gary's marine products. They are made here in North Carolina. They have tournament grade fishing lures and things to take care of your boat. We just want to thank all of these great companies as they come alongside Blind Hog Adventures to make this the best podcast available that we can. Let's get back to our show. Coming to you live from Raleigh, where we all came together for the NC Bass and Saltwater Expo. We got the Red Line Rig crew here. I'm going to let us go around and kind of introduce ourselves. Of course, I'm Corey, one of your hosts. I've got Gaston here with me, as always. But we got some pretty cool folks with us tonight that make up the Red Line Rig crew and family. But let them go around and introduce themselves. So, Ross, why don't you take it away, man?
I'll go ahead. Ross Tolson from Mandan, North Carolina, the Outer Banks area. Grew up fishing my entire life. Grew up around it, love it. More or less offshore, but passion for inshore. Speckled trout, redfish, or red drum in our areas by, something I love to do on my days off from fishing. And what kind of brought me and Austin together as well as friends and now as brothers moving forward in this fishing world, this new venture, Red Line Rigs, and where it's started to where it is now. I'm beyond proud and very blessed to be part of this team.
That's awesome, man. That's awesome. All right, next, Who we got? One and only,
Me?
Yes, sir.
Well, Austin Hall. I've been on the podcast before. I guess you'd call me the man of the Red Line Rigs, the CEO.
ringleader.
Yes,
the
the
ringleader of the crew.
It's a lot of responsibility. But no, we just hanging out here in the living room, watching some college football here in Raleigh. We had a good day today at the show, and just excited to be here and blessed to have built the team of these guys that we have. We've got some that aren't here with us this week, and but we'll talk quite a bit throughout this podcast, just kind of shooting the bull a little bit. But we're we're pretty blessed the way that we all came together. We all kind of have unique stories of how everybody came into promoting us and stuff. And it's kind of cool to look back on it now and kind of reminisce on what brought us all together. But we got a good group of guys with a lot of knowledge and hoping to kind of share some of that with you.
That's it, man. That's it. Fishing's one thing, the Lord's the other. That's our two binding properties, man.
That's right.
That's definitely, you can see it in everything that comes across. The next, but definitely not least, is going to be the next generation of Redline Rigs is already here. He's a salesman. And all right, man, introduce yourself. Make yourself famous.
My name's Weston.
Speak up.
My name's Weston Hall.
All right. How old are you, Weston? How old are you?
11.
11. And my man, this isn't his first show, y'all. My man is a seasoned pro at doing this, and he loves hunting and fishing. So we're going to get him in on some conversations too. But yeah, glad to have you, Weston. Yes, sir. Next.
My name's Ryan Hall. I'm Austin's brother, and kind of been along this road with him since the beginning, just trying to help him where I can. Definitely not a professional, but we really enjoy fishing and raised our boys up fishing. Our family's been fishing our whole life. It's a passion. And we love doing it as a family, and praising God at the same time, and thanking Him for the nature that He's provided for us to spend our time in. I think I know me and Austin for sure, we feel closer to God when we're out in nature like that, whether it's hunting, fishing, hiking, riding four-wheelers, riding horses, whatever it may be. We feel that extra closeness, and we love it. So I'm glad to be a part of this crew and just help as much as I can.
That's awesome, man. That is awesome. So, y'all, we've got and then she's not in here with us, but the only one of us that does not have a face for radio is Miss Olivia, and that is yes, we can all give a round of applause for that one. You'll see her face.
The official ringleader, Austin plays it, but Olivia's the one that controls and wears the pants in this group here.
She's the one that really makes the calls here. I just get to take over responsibility.
She keeps us all straight, so that's definitely a full-time job. So she's amazing as well, and a great support system, honestly, for all of us, and brings us all together. So that's amazing. And every year these guys hit these shows up, and you can always check them out, get some pretty good deals. But you also can see a lot of what's going on. Put your hands on it. If you got questions, ask it. Get some pretty good stories in the mix, and we had some people come by at this show already that we've seen at all kind of different shows and already, and come by. And it's a pretty cool little family, man, that you build and that like the stuff, and you've kind of seen that more than anything, Austin. So
yeah, the coolest thing with these shows, and I was talking to a couple of guys today. If you're listening to this, again, appreciate y'all stopping by. But one of the coolest things to me is, I still look at us as a fairly new company. We've been in business for 5 years, and it's so neat to me that the first few years that we did shows, we really had to sell our product. We really had to talk to people a lot about our product, what we had, and now we've got people coming through the booth. It's like, man, we've used your stuff for years. It works. We love it, and we love y'all. We've met them at the shows before. They've gotten to know us. They've gotten to trust us and know that we're not out for it to try to make a dollar. We're truly out for it to try to help people catch fish.
Yeah.
And able to do that, those people trust us, and now we get to see those people come through at the shows year after year, and we're starting to recognize faces that we're seeing year after year, and it's so cool to really think that we are trying our best, kind of unintentionally, we're building that community around the business, and really it means way more to me than making a dollar. Is being able to see these people come in and say, hey man, we see y'all at every show. We love coming by and talking to you because we know that you're
dudes.
Yeah, we know that you're going to push us to what works. Yeah. Whether you sell it or whether I sell it or whether somebody else sells it, it doesn't matter. Yeah. We truly have a passion for helping people catch fish, whether it's our products or not. And one thing I wanted to add about that Mid-Atlantic Hunting and Fishing Expo.
That's right.
That is a really cool show. Man, you can come and get freshwater gear. You can get saltwater gear. You go right behind our booth and you may find guns. You may find duck dogs walking around, grunt calls, fishing simulators. It is an amazing show. It's a real unique show because it's all under one roof. You really can come and just kind of check out everything. It is an extremely fun show. So I encourage you to take part in that. Come out and see us and all the other vendors. There's a multitude of anything you want there.
Yeah, it puts a face to a name, and that's the thing. A lot of times you see people's products or you see people and we just talk, or you may hit them up on social media, and then when you go into these shows and you get to sit down and actually talk to them for a minute,
and it's not like a call or a text. You actually can talk and kind of read body language and just have a good time and laugh. And then if you're like me, I don't always remember names, but I definitely remember faces. And we had some guys come in today, and as soon as they walked up, they were like, "Hey, we're like, hey, we remember you." And we had seen them y'all had seen them at 3 shows, and I had saw them at the last 2, and it was like, that's pretty cool, man. They're like, we don't even need no product. We just wanted to come and say, hey. I mean, so great, let's talk, man. What's going on? So that was pretty cool to see those guys, and they were from down east. So I mean, they made a good trek to come up and check it out and just say hey. And they were like, yeah, you're our first booth we stopped at, and I thought that was a pretty neat thing. That the biggest thing was they said before we even do any shopping, we just want to say hey.
Oh yeah.
And so yeah, man, that was pretty.
And
neat.
like I said, that means more to us than anything. If you come in and say hey and just talk to us. If you leave with a bag full of stuff, that's great. If you leave with nothing in your hands, that's perfectly fine. I love the conversation, meeting people, and just like I said, building that community. Man, I love these shows for that reason.
Yeah, and that's what I have seen. It's a community, and it's amazing that a single fish, can bring so many people together over so many different products and lines and just all kind of stuff. But it's amazing how people kind of find a common goal or interest and come to that and do that. And I know we each see a little bit of a different side of that. I know, Ross, you're down on the Outer Banks, man. You see a lot of that kind of thing. So, how do you kind of see? I know you deal with a lot because Ross, if you don't know, and he does a lot of offshore stuff. He does all kind of things. His family's basically old school OBX, man, and he's part of that line, and so you see a lot. I guess you see a lot more of the tourist side, and the people that come down may not know as much about fishing, do a little offshore, inshore, all that kind of stuff.
Yeah, I mean, all of the above. People come to Outer Banks looking for a good experience and a good time, and that's as a charter mate, as I currently am now. The biggest thing is you can take people fishing. You want to catch them fish, but you want them to go home having a good day.
Yeah.
So as far as that goes, it's kind of like our booth. People come by and talk. I had a guy come by, a fellow named Zach, who works on a ferry, a good friend of mine. And he's like, man, I saw you here 2 years ago. It's been a while.
Yeah.
So it's pretty cool getting talk with him about his fishing down there in the Neuse River, and then fishing up here, or up in my neck of the woods to the east in the Outer Banks areas. It's nice kind of see familiar faces. But with a charter boat game, you got to get the people what they want and what they want's a good time.
Yeah.
But right now our fishery for inshore and offshore is super slow. So for me to go catch anything in the inshore world, I gotta go 2 hours north or 2 hours south.
Yeah.
Currently right now, going west and south been my go-to, but I don't want to step on Gas's toes too much. So I kind of leave that little area away, when I can. If he's working his full-time job, I'll sneak in there.
That's it.
I'll tell you, just kind of chime in right here. My man Ross, he was the Redline Rigs, the OG pro staff guy.
He was the original, weren't he?
The OG, and the kind of the way that we met is a story for another podcast. But it was nothing but Jesus that brought us together, and he's become one of my closest friends and family in my life, man. And this is one fishy dude. I'm gonna tell you, if there's fish around, this dude knows how to catch them. And I'll put it to you like this: keep an eye if you can on Ross. If you don't follow him on social media, check him out. He's got some big things coming in the future. You're gonna wanna kind of keep an eye out if you're in the OBX area. I'd keep an eye out for what's to come with him. He's got some big moves coming, and it's pretty exciting stuff. So.
He's a humble, quiet guy.
Very.
But if you didn't hear it, he is Captain Ross. He introduced himself as the first mate on that boat right now. I heard that. I was like, but hey, my man is Captain Ross.
Well, as they say, they have qualified captains.
That's right.
So I'm definitely qualified.
That is an awesome website, by the way.
Yes, sir.
It's awesome.
I hope it never be on it.
That's me too. Me too.
There might be a video out there too that haven't surfaced yet.
If you're on the water long enough, we've probably all got something that can go on there.
It's going to happen.
Yeah.
And all that being said, very humble as well. I mean, I come from a background of fishing, and we've just been taught to, act like you've been there before. Yeah. And I'm very blessed to be where I'm at, without my family, without my friends, without, just where I grew up at was an awesome place in Outer Banks. I would not be sitting here in Raleigh talking about fishing at the biggest expo on the East Coast, in my opinion, and probably the best. Yeah. Super blessed to be here. So thank you, Austin, for put me on there. Yeah, good things are coming up. I charter fish offshore summertime, and this time of year I'm offshore commercial fishing. But we're moving forward some bigger things, and more or less my passion lies inshore. And yeah, we got some good stuff coming, and can't wait to see what the future holds, and we'll keep you updated for sure.
And
My thing with Ross is I've been trying to get him on my boat because I want to know his fishing spots. He comes to my area and slides in with a kayak, and then he's gone. And after he leaves, he sends me 8 pictures of
Monsters.
25-inch
Well,
plus
that's the first thing you said this morning. You walked in the booth and you said, "Hey, you need to stay away from the fish." That's the first thing you said.
Well, there's a reason he's not getting on my boat. He's holding those spots for himself.
No, it's and yeah. Well, I have to tell you, Gaston caught his fish a couple years back, 30+ incher. Same day I caught one in the same neck of the woods. That was 28 and a half.
Well, we were texting back and forth that day
All
too.
day long.
Yeah.
That was a crazy day. It was one of those days we had a warming trend. Down there, is it Pungo or Pantego? Which
You
one?
were in Pantego. I was in Pungo. I don't mind giving that info.
And,
I remember
it's still a big creek.
the
It's
shows,
a big creek.
Yeah.
the shows that we, it may have been last year, the shows right after you had caught your 30-incher. Right after you had caught it, Gaston, it was the first 3 or 4 people that came into our booth at the shows was, "Hey, is Gaston coming?" And I said, "Man, you catch 130+ inch trout. Everybody and their brother wants to meet you."
Social media blew up after that. It really did. I was surprised. I really was.
Well, it's one of them things. It's like a unicorn. Everybody wants it, right? And then when you finally get it, right, you're like, a 30-inch fish, man. People travel thousands of miles to do this. I mean, and then you've got them right there in your backyard, and then you land one. I mean, you see pictures of it, and you're like, man, that could never be me.
Yeah.
And I still got that dream alive. But, you know, I'm still a numbers dude, but I'm not going to kick a 30-inch off my boat. I can tell you that.
Yes,
I mean,
sir.
but it's one of them things, like you say, it just draws. You're like, wow, that dude must know a little bit of what he's doing. It just it perks it up, man.
I think
Pure luck. I can tell you that. I mean, every cast you expect to catch a fish, and you don't expect to catch one like that. Like you say, you expect it to be other people. You see these pictures like, I'll never get one. It was a surprise and a shock to me. And the first time I saw the fish, she was 2 feet from me on the side of the boat, and I about lost it. My dad did an awesome net job, and my hands were still shaking an hour after I caught that fish.
you wouldn't ever know it from the North Carolina Division of Marine Fisheries and all the regulations that they're putting out now. You wouldn't ever know it, but I think we lose sight sometimes that we're living in a world-class fishery. And man, it continues to get better. And I think sometimes in recent years, because of social media and being able to see it all the time, it's right there in our face, on our phones, in our hands, whatever. We see it and we lose that concept of how rare and how big of a deal is that 30+ inch trout is. I mean, that's a lifetime
Well,
fish.
it's
That's
the Holy Grail.
incredible. Yes,
Yeah.
I mean, we're all chasing that.
Yeah.
And like I said, because of social media, you see those people. I live, 4 hours from the coast, my home. I've got to drive a pretty good ways to get there, but because of social media, it's in my hands. I can see people catch them. And so I feel like sometimes that's kind of desensitized us to really how special that is. It's incredible.
Well, and this is perfect for right now because the reason that fishery's so good with big fish right now is no cold stun.
Yeah, that's
And
right.
we're sitting here and it's snowing outside right now.
Snowing.
And it's been, sub-freezing for what stretch now? 6-7 days.
And we got another 7 days of it coming.
Yeah, I mean, we're getting into the 40s and 50s next week, so hopefully we'll get a little break from it. But, 19, 21, 22 degrees at night with ice and snow is not good. So this could change for us. And it's, it's one of those things you take it year by year, and you kind of do. I mean, we're in year 4 or 5 of everybody posting big trout.
Mm-hmm.
And you kind of get to a point where you take it for granted, as crazy as that sounds. But it really is right now. We need to sit back and say, hey, this is something we may never see again in our lifetime.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, they've actually had 7 years without. 17 was the last
Except
year.
for that big
17
freeze.
was that great big freeze.
It was hard to be back home in Outer Banks. You cannot catch a fish that was even a keeper size for that whole entire summer, spring.
Well, that's
to
another
fall,
point to make,
and
right?
They've kind of continued gotten a little bit larger, but also like you said, with now the more temperate winters we've had. This fish are allowed to thrive, allowed to grow, but with social media, they're getting picked on a lot more too.
Yeah.
Well,
And for people that don't know, real quick,
No, you can.
so the cold stone will kill the bigger trout first. I mean, those are the trout that die.
Yeah.
So, then you have a couple years where the dinks grow and become keepers. But it is a long process.
It's
It
a
really
process.
is.
Well, and it's one of those things too. Like just kind of to reiterate about our fishery, you look at the national speckled truth heavy hitters.
It just wrapped up.
Josh Sutton,
Man.
I believe, was third.
He come third nationally.
73, 74 pounds.
That's like over 7 pound average. 10 fish. 10 fish. He's over 7.3, 7.4
That's
average.
incredible. Now,
Well, him and Burt Hill
Yeah,
were
Burt Hill,
like a tenth.
Burt were a tenth
A
apart,
pound.
something like that, 3/10 apart,
It
something
was
like that.
crazy.
So
Yeah.
Burt's right there in around the Bellhaven area.
Yeah.
I mean, he's a fishy dude. Him and Josh, man. You had Patrick Whaley, that he was right there.
Yeah.
He was right there. But you had 3 of the top 5 or 6 in the nation sitting right here
In North Carolina?
within North Carolina.
yeah, and I don't know Bert or Patrick very well. I know Josh, and Josh is about one of the best, most humble guy, but he knows fishing. He knows, I mean, he chases them. He lives for it. He eats, sleeps, and breathes it. That's a fishy dude. And there again, to have 3 to place in that heavy hitters, or 3 of the top to be right there out of North Carolina, we've got a world class fishery.
We do, and a lot of times we think it's almost like deer hunting. You almost go somewhere thinking you've got to go somewhere to kill something, and then when you start seeing them post pictures, like the North Carolina Sportsman's Magazine will start posting stuff,
That's right.
and you're like, "Holy cow, that deer was 2 counties over from me," and you've got a big wall hanger sitting there. It's the same thing with fishing, right? We talked earlier, y'all guys went to Texas, and we're talking about, man, we need to get together and go do the Houston show.
That's right.
And we need to go down there and fish, Port Mansfield or whatever we're going to go to different places. And then, we've got the same class fish. Maybe not the numbers they've got, but you got the same class
And you
fish.
mentioned it too, like you travel 1,000 miles. That's that's a great segue. I mean, I've been in Texas, Corpus Christi, last 4 years. Not this past year, but 4 years in a row. Austin came with me for a trip, and that's something. My mother now lives in San Antonio, so Corpus Christi is 2.5 hours away from San Antonio, and sitting there, visiting her around Christmas, like, well, I can be there in a little bit.
Yeah.
And being down there and finding spots and talking to locals and we talk about just the nostalgia of being in Texas and wade fishing. For me, wade fishing is more of a passion because you're in elements. You feel the current, you feel the grass, you feel the pebbles, you feel the shells, you feel everything going on the contour. Kind of more in tune with what's happening. So wade fishing for me is what I love to do, but also going to Texas where it's the mecca of wade fishing, where they live, breathe, sleep, eat wade fishing. It's one of those things really neat. But we have the same class of fish here in North Carolina.
Yeah.
That's right.
It's a different style of fishing. We all, we fish spinning gear, they fish casting gear. They do, stock of foot. We do, boot foot waders, but same style of fishing, chasing that same fish. And they're right here in our backyard. But going to Texas was awesome. That was a great trip.
Yeah, oh yeah.
It was, I went there couple years prior. I tell them how great it is, and we got there. It was good, but we had a rocky start, and then we ended up coming through with a great trip at the end of it.
Well, some of the guys we mentioned about being in our booth, the reason you can get those products is because some of the trips that you guys
Absolutely,
took and the friendships that you make. So it's not just, hey, who can you sell or who can I push and be part of their pro staff. It's not like that. It's good products, but it's better people.
Yeah.
And when you start bringing better people around you, the products sell themselves. But to me, it's the people, right? It's the people that make the things and the products around us. And so, like you said, I know Coastal Brew, that dude. I know 3JD. I know there's a lot of ones that y'all got to know because of trips that you sat there and shook hands and talked and fished. I mean, that's...
And shout out to Coastal Brew, bait company, Colt Blackwell, Chase Blackwell. I sent video to Chase today. I have everything in the booth, and first thing he texted back to me, he said, trout fishing North Carolina is going off. So he's a guy in Texas who fishes Baffin Bay in Port Mansfield, and he's looking at our fishery saying, wow.
And you talk about somebody that has really made a name for himself in that. I mean,
those boys.
Yeah, they catch some trout, and they do very well in the tournaments they fish in. I mean, they're very well known. They've come out with this bait company. The baits are taking off. They've got really good baits. We've, like I said, just started carrying them. 3JD Lures, met Jimmy at one of the shows. Extremely good guy, and that means more to me. It just so happens that this extremely nice guy, an extremely good person, has really good baits.
Yeah.
It's kind of a good thing. So we started carrying them. Fish sticks rod, we fish those. They're Hunter. We met him at the.
Now spell the sticks because it is different. There's
Fish
different ones out there.
So
Don't
this
be
is,
fooled.
Yeah, and it's
Fish.
not STICKS like you get out of the oven either. Hold
No,
on,
this is
all right.
This is fish sticks.
It ain't Gordon's.
STIX.
Okay.
STIX is his is Hunter, and they're
He's
out of
based
Texas.
out of Texas, right?
Yeah, he's out of South Texas, and then they're some fishy people. He makes some awesome rods. So, these are just like you said. It's one of those networking things where you meet good people. They have good products, and it kind of just all happens.
Yeah.
And I will say, that trip, we were just talking about it before we started recording. We're just sitting here talking fishing, and I can't explain how special that trip and how much I enjoyed that trip to Texas. Now, we were there we fished Corpus for 4 or 5 days.
It was 5 days, yeah.
5 days. And for the first 4 days, Ross will attest to this, I got my teeth kicked in. It was like I was down there trying to learn Spanish. I mean, it's...
Which is not a bad place to learn Spanish.
No, yeah.
I mean, you're right there.
Not a bad spot. Yeah,
We kind of alley-ooped that one. But you're fishing for the same fish. It's just a whole different world.
completely different.
What the lures they're using, the size of lures. They're fishing 5, 6, 7 inch soft plastics with a 1/0, 2/0 hook. It's very different. They're huge on the coastal marsh, the fat boys, different things like that down there. It's a different world, but it forced me as an angler to get out of my comfort zone and to learn a new fishery and to learn new techniques. Wade fishing, that's something that Ross has kind of got me into. That's his passion, and because I went on that trip with him, I'm on Amazon. I'm buying wade fishing stuff, getting ready for this. I love it. It's so personal.
And how many miles we walk?
Holy cow.
I think the last day, you slept pretty much all of it, didn't you?
Maybe. May have.
Now, is that something maybe that people can, at a later date can look at the road of you kind of stuff? I mean, because you're in the perfect spot. Where we're fishing, the Pungo and Pamlico. I mean, you might fish on a ledge, and next thing you know, you hit a hole and you're gone.
And you're 18 feet deep.
Yeah.
Looking forward to the future for sure. Like I said, I'm currently offshore mating, and that's kind of where my realm's at. But moving forward, there's some spots that I would love to kind of take the Texas idea of wade fishing and apply it to our area on Outer Banks. I think there's a good niche for that. Awesome. Texas is it's crazy. You get in a boat, you go. I was telling these guys before we started the podcast, went to Port Mansfield last year with Chase Blackwell, and that was a trip. I mean,
you said y'all went how far to get out of the boat?
We went. As far as running down the...
Yeah, you're talking y'all ran somewhere.
We went all the way to Port Isabel. That was the furthest place, about 90 miles.
90 miles to go to get out of the boat and to wade fish.
And wade fish.
That's crazy.
And I might be off on my math there, but it was a long trip. It took us about an hour and a half to get there.
And y'all's boat was running 70 miles an hour?
We were rolling.
Yeah.
So our first stop was Port Mansfield, which is like it's the Mecca. You think about trout fishing, you think about Port Mansfield.
That is nuts. I mean, you look at Jay Watkins and all them down in Florida, right? You look at them dudes, and literally he does his videos standing, leaning over a boat. He's standing in the water, putting his baits on the boat so he can record on it.
$120,000
boat, and he's standing in a pair of waders and leaning beside it. And I'm like, that is the weirdest thing ever.
And that's their idea. They're very stealthy. We'd hop out the boat. We'd go, 4 wide, 15 yards apart, and kind of just go across the flat and try to just break it down.
It's almost like bird hunting around here.
Correct.
Yeah.
Correct.
It's almost like bird hunting.
Pheasant hunting, dove hunting, but any kind of hunt like that where you're kind of going
Pheasant,
through a
quail,
field.
if you walk through and try to kick up brush. Yeah.
I remember one time down there we were walking doing it, and Chase said, "Yeah, we'll just walk this, walk this flat right here and keep going and see if we can't get up to the next knoll." Well, I guess I was a little ambitious.
You're very eager for
little ambitious, and I wanted to be the first one to fish the hole. So I kept going a little bit ahead of them, Well, I turn around, and the captain that I'm supposed to be with and Ross are both headed back.
Already is back to the boat.
I'm about a centimeter from the top of my waders, and I'm doing this trying to, have my hands above my head trying to cast. But
meanwhile, there might have been a reel or two in the water.
So much fun.
Freshwater helped that out. But yeah, Texas, if I could apply that to, my area in Outer Banks is one thing is because they would, you go to a flat, you put the boat over, you anchor or spotlight control motor, and you get out and just walk it.
Well, it reminds me of Oregon Inlet because you go down there and you go to the fishing center and you literally see people parking their cars and getting out and walking out and red fishing or trout fishing, or you're fishing the sloughs and the cuts and all that kind of stuff. And it's honestly a more accessible way of fishing if you got the place to do it. A kayaker can do it. A person in a boat can do it. Around here, you got to get on a pier. You got to find somewhere you can get to it. You got to either have a boat or know somebody with a boat or something. It's not always as easy to do that. And I'm kind of jealous of that a little bit because, around here it's a little bit tougher, right? Our rivers are deep and wide. You got to try to find them where they are. And if they get up, especially in the wintertime, they push back in these coves. You're not going to go through people's private property to get to marshes and stuff like that. I mean, so...
I think it goes hand in hand because this time of year I'm jealous of y'all. I don't want to drive 2.5 hours to go.
See, I'd ride an hour
fish,
anywhere.
But I'll go 4 hours to catch a fish.
Yeah.
I'll fly thousands of miles to catch a fish.
Yeah.
That's in our backyard. So yeah, our spring and summer fishery is great. Spring fishery is phenomenal, and the fall fishery is really good
The Reds
too.
have been really good the last few years.
Oh man,
It's been wild.
And that's one of the things too. It's like the cycles. About 7 years ago, our redfish, red drum was not a good stock.
Yeah.
And once again, we got a better class of stock of fish. Where you're not catching too many rats, you're catching the slot fish and overslots.
That's fun.
And it might go back to the cycle again where you see more of the little reds pop up. But, kind of like with our trout fishery as well, in 2017, 18, you couldn't catch one that was 20 inches.
Yeah.
And then Release Over 20 started their initiative. And since then, I feel like you see a lot more larger size fish.
It seems like the state's going to start their initiative pretty soon too.
And that's something that from both sides of the fence, recreational or commercial.
Yeah.
You got to look at both of it.
Yeah.
My family has grew up in a fishing world where we are commercial fishermen.
Yeah.
But also with my love for big spec, it hurts my feelings a little bit. So I'm impartial with that.
Yeah.
But with that regulation going in effect, the same stipulations for these size limits and slots, from my understanding, are going to be the same for both commercial and for recreational.
I think there's a little bit, but there's not. I think they said commercial is going to be 22, where I think we're going to have a 14 to 20.
14 to 20.
And then y'all are going to have a 14 to 22 on the commercial
Don't
side.
say y'all because I don't net.
Well, no. I'm just saying. Sorry. I'll cut that out.
Only trout I net's in a net.
In a net.
It's going into the boat or kayak.
I haven't been on this commercial side, but
No, I got a lot of friends that do it, and I can't knock a hustle. You got to make money for your family. Fully understand it. All good.
whatever you're doing, if it's legal,
Yeah.
and if it's an honest way to make a living, and there's no shame in any of it.
No shame in any of it whatsoever.
Whether you're guiding, whether you're recreational, whether you're firefighting, whether you're counseling, whether you're building a house or concrete or whatever you're doing, a living's a living.
Yeah.
And there's no shame in our family's history and what we do and how we've done it, or it's an honorable way to make a living.
Wouldn't be here without it.
Our
for
whole region wouldn't.
But if you see me wade fishing or in my kayak or in my privateer, do not wrap me up in a mullet. I appreciate it.
But like you say, man, it's awesome that a fish brings so much together. I mean, if you look at the amount of people and the amount of equipment and the millions and millions of dollars that are sitting in that building today, and I guarantee that people are spending. It's an obsession. It's not just a passion. It's an obsession. And hey, to me, it's a healthy one. I like it.
Gaston went over there and bought 3 boats.
He did.
And trolling motor, right?
Yeah, trolling motor.
With lithium batteries.
Oh,
Yeah.
I didn't hear about a lithium.
Yeah, that's a
nice.
long story.
Is that what? So that hat went forward to back real
It did.
quick on that one.
That's right. But that's the thing, man. You can sit there and dream, and if you got a wallet for it, you can do whatever you want to in this business. But if you don't, and you literally want to go with a Zebco 404, or like we talked about, hey, I rock a Cast King reel and rod quick and have for a long time. So for $70, you can get a nice setup and go out there and catch all the fish you want to catch. And guess what? You can catch a dirty 30 on the Cast King too, or you can do it on as much as you want to spend.
I tell you, man, fishermen are some divas. I love it, and I'm one of them. It's one of those things where you start out with that Zebco, you catch a couple fish, well, then you got to have something better because apparently that Zebco didn't work. You know what I mean?
That's right.
We can go out there with a cane pole or a Zebco or something and catch the same fish that we catch with a Shimano Corrado or a Shimano Stratic or one of these $200-$300 reels, but we want that more expensive shiny thing.
You can't backlash a Zebco.
That's true.
No, you can't.
That push button.
That's basically the.
I was just gonna say, me and Austin were just recently. We talk about it every once in a while. How much fun we used to have years ago around Oregon Inlet and around the marina there and everything, just fishing in our kayaks, getting out, and some of the biggest fish I've caught right on the other side of the old Bonner Bridge.
Yeah.
Going out there and putting my stake in the ground and just walking around, watching the skate go by your feet, just good times.
And a lot of that's changed. I mean, for the good and for for the worst of it. With the new bridge that opened up, which the new bridge for our fishermen, for our fleet, we need to have it. So the Bonner Bridge is now been tore down, and we have
A pier there, actually, yeah.
Well, we have the concrete pier and our newer bridge, but that newer bridge has a wider span, so we have a lot more current flow in and out. So some of those places that we used to be able to walk around are now just either deep holes or it's just a flat island. So it's I'm right there with you, Ryan, for sure. My first experience kind of wade fishing was at Oregon Island Bridge, and I feel like if I was in a boat or a kayak, I probably would have stumbled across the school with about 2 dozen reds.
Yeah.
And I sat there with a Walmart rod and reel, cigar, pop cork, sorry from Billy Bay, I'm sure.
That's okay.
And a gulp. This has been, I don't know how many years ago, a couple of decades ago. But that right there was my first kind of, wow, you can walk around and catch fish and not be in a boat or a kayak or that kind of thing. So kind of got my feet wet per se, because I grew up offshore. So for me, doing that by myself inshore in the same spots that y'all come and travel to, and that's a pretty neat experience right there.
Well, and that's the thing. Like we all have a backstory. We all have a start. Whether your backstory takes you to your childhood, or whether your backstory in fishing, saltwater fishing, if your backstory takes you to your childhood, or whether it takes you to 2 weeks ago and you're just now starting to get into it. We all have that backstory where we started from. And Ryan, I'll let you kind of sort of talk about this, but the Outer Banks, how special was it coming up?
That was our best time that we had every year of our life, and we could go back and I can almost shed tears right now thinking about all the good times that we've had with our family. And it was just a trip for us, but we didn't really know when we were growing up how much it would mean to us later in life. All the memories, especially the ones that have passed on, and every time we sit down on that pier, or we sit down on that surf, or we're out in the inlet, those memories that go through our mind of grandparents sitting there, uncles sitting there fishing with us, and it's just awesome.
It's awesome.
We grew up doing the same thing, man. Every year we went down the week of Father's Day, went down to the Outer Banks, and we went down there and we had a little beach box cottage that we stayed at right by the Islander Motel, right across from the public beach ramp. And we stayed there, man. I bet we'd have 15 people in this little house. We'd be sleeping on the porch. Literally, no joke. And we sleep on the porch. You had, mattresses and sleeping bags strode everywhere, and had a blast, man. And you look back on some of that, and like you say, especially those that have gone on, you sit back and watch the films and the tapes, and you catch yourself out there. You go and buy the $15 special from Kmart, down there, and you throw it over with
Kmart, you're going way back.
I am. How about I'm gonna go further back. We busted out a video the other day, and it's a great big video camera. And Dad mentioned it on the other podcast, one of the ones previous.
You had to put it on your shoulder.
Had to put it on your shoulder, and we used to go down there. And one of our best things we did. Do you remember the walk up water slides, the concrete water slides?
It was right there by Webb on the surf shop.
Yes. So we used to do that all the time.
Now it's PetSmart.
That's right.
Surf shop and Staples.
That's right, but dude, you'd go up you'd tote that mat over your shoulder and go to the top, and you had to walk all the way up that big hill, and then you'd come down in about 3 seconds and do it again.
Man, but that's bringing it back.
I'm telling you, man.
It's like this past year, I took my boys. We rode down to Rodanthe when we were down there, and I took both my two boys. We walked out on Rodanthe Pier. And Austin, I don't know that he ever stayed there, and we're about 8 years difference between us, but we started out staying at the Rodanthe Motel, and it was really right beside Rodanthe Pier. And then we stayed there for years growing up, and through all those years, there were several hurricanes and stuff while we were down there. So we would stay down there, no power. We would be cooking on little grills, just all the memories of it. And, grandparents would be in one motel room beside of you, and everybody would be walking back and forth to different rooms. And then after that, we actually stayed at a house right there beside a Rodanthe Pier that was on the water, and it has now been taken out by the hurricane. So you go and you just see all those memories, and so much has changed over
So much has changed, but it's really cool to hear, at times I've moved around a little bit in life, but to hear how many memories from other people coming to where I grew up at, and at times took for granted, that's special.
Well, and that's, like I said, that is, everybody's got their backstory.
Yeah.
And that's ours. We grew up on the surf. We grew up on the pier, double bottom rigs, some shrimp, some cut mullet, catching bluefish, catching drum, catching whiting. We that's our backstory. That's what planted that seed and that love for saltwater fishing. Then we turned around and we got a kayak. We started messing around with that in the backwaters of Oregon Inlet and Kitty Hawk Bay. And now we've got a passion for inshore.
Mm-hmm.
And then we're sitting here together, doing a podcast at a fishing expo, selling fishing tackle.
And this spans, just us sitting in this room and you think about the people listening to this podcast, it spans, you guys are all the way in Kernersville, right? You're right there in the Kernersville area.
We actually live, Redline Rigs, the home quarters where everything's built at and based out of, it's in a small town called King, North Carolina.
Okay.
We're basically right at the base of Pilot Mountain.
Yeah.
And you say, okay, you're at the base of a mountain making saltwater fishing tackle. Well, that's kind of what's cool about it. Is it was started because making that tackle was a way for me to stay connected to my passion. It was a hobby.
Yeah.
And it's blossomed into a business.
Now
so
look at how much, like, for example, you guys love saltwater fishing, and you're going to hit some people on this podcast are going to hear it and say, now big in our area has become fly fishing. Fly fishing has started to really take off on the whole eastern part of the state. And so you look, they're going west to fly fish, but then they bring that love back. And so you see people on the Pungo and the Pamlico and Noose and all of these areas on the Outer Banks fly fishing. It's just a different dynamic, and that's the thing is, fishing can be whatever you want it to be. It can be as simple as you want, or it can be. It's like anything. You can make it whatever you want it to be and what your passion is for it. And I think that's so cool that it's not limited by dollars or by ability or any of that kind of stuff. You really can. Yeah. You can do it and it's you're just as much a fisherman if you're fishing, like I said, with a cut off stick and a piece of twine catching you a farm pond bass as you are, or a brim as you are. Marlin offshore, and that's the thing. It's just the love of water, and I don't know. Our state's awesome, man. That's why me and Gaston wanted to do this podcast. Was we got such an awesome place that we live, man, and especially northeastern North Carolina, it draws so many people. Sometimes we lose sight of just how special this area is, and people come from all over the world to come here and then to vacation and to get on those beaches and to come and fish the rivers and the sounds and I don't know. It's just, you look right here in the middle part of the state where we're at tonight. You've got the lakes here and world-class fisheries here for, all kind of fish that are catching in the lakes here, even around Raleigh, in different places. And so wherever you're at, whatever you want to do. And then you look at the western part of the state with the fly fishing and with all those kind of things and the trout and just all kind of stuff. And it's an awesome place we live in, man. It really is.
It's like us. We grew up. We love the saltwater. We would travel that was kind of our getaway, our vacation to go to the saltwater.
And we go to the mountains.
Yeah. we grew up trout fishing and bass fishing, and that's still one of our passions. I absolutely love. I can still consider myself a bass fisherman. Austin does too. We love it. But, we found that more of a passion in the saltwater.
Yeah.
And it's funny, I was thinking of something a while ago when Austin talked about us being divas kind of as fishermen. Man, I remember over the years of us growing up, and it was a competition between the two of us, it seemed like. So I'd go to Walmart and buy the best rod that Walmart had, and I thought I was something. I bought a Luz, or I bought, whatever. Then Austin would see it, and he would need to go buy something, and I would go buy the next best thing, and then it becomes that. But then when you really, and it's fun. It's all in good fun. We love fishing. We love to buy the expensive accessories. But like you said, you can grab a cane pole, and some of the best times we've had is over at our parents' house at their pond. Cane pole and catching brim. Letting the kids go out there and catch a bucket full of brim or whatever it may be. It's just, I think the fishing community as a whole brings everybody together.
Do y'all know I think everybody here knows what a whopper plopper is, right?
Yeah.
I don't want to admit I do.
I bought a double whopper plopper.
What does that even mean?
Yeah.
It's a double whopper plopper. I've never seen one in a day in my life, but I spent
Two ploppers.
$16 on this double whopper plopper.
Has that been recent?
No, this was years
Okay.
ago. But this is just like one of those things where I see it, I've got to have it. It's still in the box.
Mm-hmm.
I've got more tackle than I know what to do.
Not me.
it's
I don't
just-
hardly buy any tackle at all.
Yeah, I've seen your box.
Dude, I almost got a dislocated shoulder from taking
got-
that thing
I was
around.
going to say, I picked it up one day and I about hit the ground.
You wouldn't be able to fly.
But as much as he changes baits, he needs a bag that
I'll
big.
say.
I need a sponsorship from VMC to get some snap bait cranks.
Was that Austin, where you're out in that top water?
Yes, it was, actually. I got a bigger bag than that now. I got a bigger bag than that. I got more baits.
Shots fired.
Yeah, that was.
Hey, there is no shame in my game. I got wore out that day, and it's okay.
He changed baits 15 times and kept one trout.
I'll tell you, that was a fun morning. Though.
It was,
You know,
it was.
The day before we filmed the very first podcast,
That's right.
first Blind Hog Adventures podcast. Went out that afternoon, got our teeth kicked in.
Skunk.
But the
It
next
was
morning,
nasty. That
It was nasty.
we went the next morning and really had a good time. We
Had over
got some
20
fishing.
fish in probably an hour and a half, and
Yeah.
if that, I mean,
and
but-
top water.
and
too.
top water. I mean, that was awesome, man.
I think we caught. I think it was probably a handful of them that were
the most of
that
it
hit
were
that
nice.
hit the corks and the
Yeah.
voodoo shrimp, and kind of the bread and butter. But
The majority of them were on top water that morning, man.
yeah,
They
if
wanted top.
they're going to hit top water. It's hard not to throw
Yeah.
it. It's just a fun way to fish.
Well, I mean, when you're sitting there bringing it back in, twitch, and it sounds like a bowling ball
Oh, that's right.
hits the water. I
And
mean, that's
Ken even said that on the
fun.
thing. He was like, "Good lads, they wanted it that time."
With some of those, we were having little blow ups from bluefish.
Yeah,
But when the trout were there and wanted it, you knew they wanted it.
yeah,
And Austin was the beneficiary.
he was.
I was lucky. Better be lucky than good.
I tell
See,
you.
what happened was I felt so bad for him. He hadn't fished with me in a while.
You did
I
give
gave
him the bow.
best spot.
You gave him the
put
bow.
him on the bow. Said, Austin, you need to throw this bait right here. You know, everything was set up for him.
You pretty much casted it for me.
Absolutely.
You can pick the bait
I
up.
hung him and let him reel him in.
That's it. That's it.
Yeah.
It was almost like a charter.
That's what every good captain does.
Hey, kind of a full circle deal. That bait that I caught it on that morning came from a bargain bin at Roy's Bait and Tackle when we went on that Texas trip together.
That's
Boys
pretty
main
cool.
tackle,
Yeah.
Corpus Christi, Texas.
That's right.
I do know
Best type
you.
of shops in the world.
Well, you had Corey fumbling through his bag, and he didn't have that color. He had something close. But for some reason, that color.
I tell you what, though, I got that color now.
How many times did that joker? Now we pick on Corey, and we'll throw this out there. We pick
Don't
on
go away.
Corey. You know, me and Ross and Gaston. We love tying the loop knot just to give that bait a little more action, or just to give it that little more action.
Do you love tying a loop knot, or you just
Well, I tie it. I'm not saying I'm the best at it, but
I
I
would say,
tie
do
it.
you love tying it?
But Corey is huge on the crankbait snaps, so where he can change it out, very quick, and it's very quick. But we give him all kinds of crap about that. Just that joker, I promise you, that morning, within what, Gaston, maybe 20 minutes, I bet you he changed baits 10 times.
At least.
Realistically, probably 10 times.
Realistically.
Probably 10 times.
That's not great, though.
But you know,
That's like 2 casts.
y'all were catching. No, I can change it in about y'all before you get you casting.
If there's anybody out here listening to this and you make crank snaps, is what they call
VMC
it,
crankbait
please,
snaps,
please send Corey.
or if you make one similar, if you make, I don't
make him pro staff something.
Look,
Corey's looking for a sponsorship. These crankbaits.
I go through these things a lot.
I
So
just think when you give a sponsorship or fluorocarbon, or
that-
whatever your
I do
your material
fluoro.
is.
Hey, I'm fluorocarbon all the way.
Yeah,
dude.
just
I'm Berkeley big game mono.
Hey, I like
love it.
mono.
I
too.
use the orange.
Yeah.
Yeah, just orange mono. No,
So
I'm kidding.
there's a good. All right, so we're going to segue off of Corey for a minute.
Change the subject.
Change the subject.
Deflection.
Good deflection. All right. So speaking of that, so what's the reason for the leader material? Because do you see a difference?
So my thought process is this, and here's what kind of opened my eyes up to it is
Because you're the popping cork guy. So
honestly,
is there a difference?
it's fishing with Gaston.
Okay.
Okay. Gaston opened my eyes. I had never used the cigar cork very much. I made them.
Yeah.
But my bread and butter was that oval cork.
Right.
That was kind of my confidence. Well, Gaston said, "Hey, you're going to come fishing with me, and you're going to use that cigar cork, and I'm going to show you how effective it is."
I didn't make you do that. I just wore you out so bad that you changed over
Gaston
to it.
held me down, took every oval cork that I had. No, he got on the boat and he said, "You're going to just try it, I promise you." And we went out and we wore them out. The cigar cork, a 2-inch baby voodoo shrimp, white and chartreuse, and absolutely slayed them.
Yeah.
And it opened my eyes to the concept of when it's colder weather, or if those fish are being a little more finicky, or if you're targeting those speckled trout, really finding that bait that's under the cork, slowing it down. Okay. Slowing down that rate of fall and keeping it in that strike zone the longest, right? That 1/16 ounce baby voodoo shrimp, it slowed it down where it was keeping it there in front of their face long enough that they couldn't not eat it.
So, question on that one. You said slow it down. So, Gaston, I'll ask you this because he has mimicked what you're doing, and I say that in a positive way. Do you use the mono just because it's cheaper, or because I'll tell you the reason I use fluoro most of the time is because I found it sinks faster, and most of the time I'm fishing a jig, so I want it to sink. So for those out there listening, maybe you learned something too, and I learned this today. Honestly, just kind of talking, and it kind of clicked a little bit, and it did when you said
Sure.
that. So you say you use a lighter poundage under your popping cork but you go mono because you want it to stay up you want it to actually float down slower in the presentation of the popping cork. Is that right?
I'm not smart enough to know any of that. So
What do you use?
the
Why you
reason
use?
I throw mono
Okay.
is I was breaking fish off on fluoro. I did a little bit of research and found that the more times you snatch and have pressure, it puts a weak spot in the fluoro.
Okay.
And it has potential, if you catch 3 or 4 fish, you get a weak spot, a big fish bites, you snatch, break your line.
Okay.
So I just felt like the mono gave me more stretch.
Mhm.
I am definitely not smart enough to know what sinks faster or anything like that.
Fluoro
All I know
sinks
is that little 2-inch voodoo shrimp sits there in front of that trout's face and they sink that cork. And it's
Well,
fun.
I can
Wear
attest to
'em
that,
out.
and we saw it on video. And he wore me out that day, even on a cigar versus cigar. So I had about an 18-inch fluoro, and he had an 18-inch mono. So I will say, if you take everything else, apples for apples, I'm gonna say what he said, and it's cheaper. It actually saved me some money next time I buy something.
It is cheaper.
It's a lot cheaper. You can
Well,
buy a Walmart spool
I mean-
of it a lot cheaper than you can buy a 20-yard thing of
That's right.
fluoro.
And one thing I will say is, just like anything else, it is extremely situational. If you go in my tackle box now, you're going to find a roll of Berkeley Big Game spool of mono. You're going to find a roll of probably Seaguar fluorocarbon. You're going to find both. And if I get into some extremely clear water, if I get into some extremely finicky fish, if I do want that to sink a little bit faster, then absolutely I'm going to tie on some fluoro. But kind of like Captain Gaston said, I like that slower rate of fall. I like that stretch that it gives me. And more than anything, I'm a poor country boy. I like that price.
Yeah, well, that's the reason I use the crankbait snap. I don't have to retie. Plus, it's easier. I'm really going to blow your mind on this. So, how about I was tying a loop knot to the crankbait snap? So I had,
You know what? Okay, Corey told me this today.
I had a double motioner in right there.
Corey told me this
Pretty
today.
sure you just broke the internet.
And I really wanted. I
It's
really
shut down.
wanted.
We listen and we don't judge.
I wanted. Yes, I wanted to say that on this podcast, but I also didn't want to throw Corey on
Hey,
the bus.
I'm a
today.
big
So
I've
this,
never heard
loop
anything.
knot.
this has been Blind Hogs Adventures Podcast.
All right, y'all. So like the guy said, this has been this episode of the Blind Hog Adventures podcast. We're going to wrap this up on a second episode later, and hope you guys have enjoyed what you've heard today. Been able to laugh a little, learn a little, and see a little behind the scenes of what it's like to be part of a great family, but also do some stuff at some of these shows. So we're going to see you on the water. Take care. Don't forget to check out past episodes and our new content that drops each month, and we will see you on the water. Take care.
There's nothing finer to me than to be on the water when that sun comes peeking in under that Carolina sky in the Lord's creation, ripping some lips on my favorite waters, taking blind hog adventures